have speakers come up now from the family, do a little bit of memorializing. People share some stories about Jerry, who was an amazing, wonderful individual.
My dad worked far too hard for far too little, sweeping and mopping industrial floors for 25 years. He barely missed a day of work, and he did his job with incredible humility. Grandpa loved jazz. He loved to turn the heat up full blast in his car and roll down all the windows while blaring KMHD, the jazz station, at top volume while speeding on the windy country roads.
Could there be smiles, honest and true? Out of the clouds, I wanna take you away.
My dad loved his grandkids and looked out for them. Grandpa was a spoiler of grandchildren. Every last one was deeply loved.
He taught me the most important things in life. I love how he would always call me over to play the piano. He loved my piano playing. He is legend, father, grandfather, and a friend. He left to play jazz to God, for God. You will never be forgotten.
I remember he would always put newspapers all over the walls, and I just remember being in his room with that and watching movies with him. He'd always watch like style westerns. Love my grandpa.
I watched my dad share kindness with a lot of people in a way that a lot of people didn't always agree with. A lot of people thought he was putting himself out there for putting himself in precarious situations by helping people that were down and out because of appearances. Matter of fact, over the years, I saw many of those people come full circle back into his life.
My dad told me, when you do good to people, they'll do good to you. And I remember that countless times, all the people that he helped.
My heart is sad and lonely. I sigh for you did only. Why haven't you seen it? I'm all for you, body and soul.
Jerry was a good man, and he like everybody said, he gives, and your life is just better for knowing him. And I see it through all his kids. His kids give just as much as he does, and I thank all of them for that as well. Because they've helped me as well throughout my life, as much as Jerry did, and as much as Jerry's helped so many other people.
I remember Jerry was over at the house one day, and this was several years ago. I said, Jerry, we got to put some of your music down on paper, because at that time it was all in our minds. Jerry didn't write music down, but he was a great composer. And that's why I want to share with you this evening music that Jerry composed. A wonderful pianist, Dan Gaynor, on the piano. A gentleman that has been touring with me here in the States and abroad and is on a few of my recent CDs, Charlie Duncan on the drums. Jerry made for me. Maybe in around 1965, he made it. And I think one of the reasons why it's lasted so long is because Jerry told me, he says, David, to make this thing last, we preserve the wood, the bamboo, with Menon's aftershave lotion. So, does that sound like Jerry? So, I did that. I bought several bottles of Menon's aftershave lotion and bathed this puppy in a little tub full of Menon's aftershave lotion.
I worked in the coffee house, and it was like 100 years ago, so I don't know how many people are here who remember that. It was great working in the coffee house, getting to know Jerry and Julia, and I just really appreciated those guys and Jerry. I learned a lot of things from Jerry. One was humor. So I was collecting these little puns. Because Jerry, he was such a fun guy. He was a fun guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Harry.
Uh-huh.
I stayed up all night to see where the sun went.
Yeah?
And then it dawned on me.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to say a couple things I remembered about Jerry was, there's this. Even more so, and he had such a great smile, and I was a recipient of his Starving Artist Fund many times.
My dad loved to talk about jazz, Jesus, and running the coffee house back in the 1960s in Seattle.
Jerry Heldman owned the Loggerland, where musicians played past closing, sometimes until 8 in the morning.
At the Loggerland, we just played. We didn't make much money, and we just played. And I think that putting your heart into it, it's easier to put your heart into it when you're not tied to the almighty dollar.
Dad loved Café Francais, international coffee. He loved coffee in general. A few of his kids have inherited that proclivity. Dad loved country diners. He was nice to servers and was a good tipper.
When I was a little girl, he'd be sitting on a chair and he would say, "Come over here." He said, "This chair's not comfortable enough." He says, I need a pillow to sit on. You'll be my pillow." And so sometimes it seemed like, to a little girl, it seemed like I was stuck for hours, being his pillow. And I would finally one day, I told him that I wasn't going to be his pillow anymore.
Well, maybe I'll tell you, when I first met Jerry Heldman, I was about 16, I think, and I walked into the Loggerland, and it was in the afternoon, and he was playing piano alone. And it was like the Phantom of the Opera. I was scared to death. I was kind of thinner then, and some people thought I was invisible. So I'm not sure if he knew I was there until he did know I was there. But when he found out, he kept playing, and he was just thrashing at this piano and playing these songs. All of them were in 6/8 or 3/4, I think. And I was just completely freaked out. And I remember leaving, and it took me about a year to get the guts to go back and sit in with Dave Friesen and Dave Nelson. I was playing drums then. This is Alicia Dejois on violin, before I forget. Jim Dejois on clarinet. John Hanford, Dr. John on guitar, and this guy is Mark Strayson. There are no words
came by every couple of years when we were kids, had a truck full of monkeys. You know, how many kids can say that the monkey man comes and visits them every couple of years, you know? We'd be like, this truck would pull up and, you know, within a block of the house, we'd be like, the monkey man's here! And I felt blessed. I was like, I didn't know it till later on that, you know, we were actually not, we were probably the only family in that small town that ever got monkey man visits.
He also had another side thing that was going on. And he kind of like, was, as far as I knew, he was the guy who invented the tinfoil hat. The tinfoil Mardi Gras, some big, some small, to the tinfoil Mardi Gras.
He was just one of those people that was hard not to love. He was honest, hardworking, kind, non-judgmental, generous beyond anyone I've ever known, and non-materialistic.
Jerry wrote a lot of songs for Julia, and I was talking to Julia trying to figure out how many. I know it's at least 30 songs, and you just name them. Julia number 1, Julia number 18, Julia number 25. So we're going to try and track down those reels and get those recordings so for posterity, you know, be good.
He was so beautiful. He never kept his hands still, but his hands were still, and they were folded over his heart, and I looked at them and I saw the most beautiful hands, and I just felt the music in them and the love in them.
If you met my dad, you went away feeling, and you felt blessed.
In my head, these streets are in